Hey, it's me. Welcome to Trump Mafia. It's a two-in-one video, right? So I want to talk about two different issues, but they're kind of related if you think about it. It's about foreigners always ripping us off or trying to use us like a whore, and it's pretty sad. So tariffs that are in no way attacks on the American people. It's not attacks on the American people, not even a little bit. And I'm going to talk about the rise of the Fourth Reich in Europe, the rise of fascism. They're abandoning democratic principles and values, and they're on the war path. They're so aggressive. It's like a hungry beast that wants to feed and expand. And can President Trump do anything about it, or should he? Because we know what happens if you don't do anything about it, like in the 1930s, or like the Bush family, you even helped them to rise up in 1930s to get finance from the USA. If we do that kind of thing again, always thinking, hey, they're our allies, we have to help them, then maybe we're making the same mistake all over again. And they're acting tough, and they're provoking Russia, knowing that we have bases in Europe, we're part of NATO, so it's like they're hiding behind the big kid in the playground and giving the finger to their enemy, right? Because they feel all safe like. Or in the case of President Trump now being in office, it's like kids hiding behind the teacher on the playground and then giving the middle finger to the enemy, right? Because President Trump, in a way, is smarter than all of these people that have been in Washington, D.C., or in the EU for all these years. They just make a mess all the time, and we have to clean it up. And so it has been with the tariffs. So let's talk about the tariffs first. Tariffs are in no way attacks on the American people, not even a little bit. I don't even know why people are saying it, except that it's kind of like fear mongering. It's like, hey, Russia's going to invade Western Europe. On the one hand, they say Russia's collapsing, the economy's on its last legs, Putin's going to be overthrown, Ukraine destroyed, the Russian military. But then the same people the next day say, Russia's about to invade Western Europe. So which is it? Both cannot coexist. Well, why are these people lying about tariffs being attacks on the American people? It's fear mongering. And it's trying to get people to turn against tariffs. And these are the same people that didn't say much when you had the Biden inflation. But we're talking about people that either don't understand tariffs or they're lying on purpose. So people that claim that tariffs are attacks on the American people are either like a lying skunk or a blithering idiot. And they all have the same talking point. So whether it's Ron Paul and his creepy son Rand Paul, or MSNBC, Lawrence O'Donnell, Rachel Maddow, or Mike Pence, Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, or Schumer, Pelosi, all the Democrats, the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, they're all saying the same thing. It's a tax on the American people. No, it's not. It is not even a little bit. So I have to kind of give an example of why their argument is so false and dishonest. Like, say, a German car, right? 25% tariffs if it's made outside of the USA. If the German car maker makes it that they have a factory in the USA, of course, no tariffs, right? But let's say you have a German car, 25% tariff. So when it's in the USA, it's going to be 25% more expensive. So Ron Paul and his creepy family and the Rhino Republicans and the Democrats claim that this means you're increasing a tax on the American people, 25% for a car. But this is where they're lying, right? Who says that you have to buy a German car made overseas? Why can you not buy a German car that's made in the USA? Or buy a Japanese car made in the USA? Or an American car, why not? Made in the USA. The market gives you many choices, but they're acting like buying a German car that is manufactured overseas is a need, not a want. Like we have needs like shelter or food. We cannot do it without, right? But they're like buying a German car that's made overseas is a need like shelter or food. Like Americans cannot do without that. And that's why you're forcing a tax on these people. I don't know anyone in the USA who has a specific need to have a German car that's made overseas. I mean, I can understand people need a car for a family or a business, but why does it have to be a German car that is manufactured overseas? It doesn't make any sense. But yet, this is the premise of their whole argument that these are taxes on the American people. It's pathetic. And these countries will have higher prices for some of their goods, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point of tariffs, right? You're taxing foreigners, foreign companies. You're not taxing American people. And so all of these people lying, you can see it's Democrats, Rhino Republicans, so-called libertarians. They're all repeating the same globalist lies. So these are not America First people, no matter what they claim. If you're against tariffs, you're against America First. It's that simple. And so the argument, yet again, that Americans don't have a choice, that if you increase the price on a German car manufactured overseas, you're forcing people to pay 25%, whereas reality says people are going to see an expensive German car made in Germany, and they're going to buy another car instead, a Tesla made in the USA, or a Toyota made in the USA. Why not? Why does it have to be a German car made overseas? Well, their argument also goes to like Chinese crap. Like the Chinese send a lot of crap over, right? But you have a lot of companies that are making that crap in the USA and selling that crap. Why do they act like it's an absolute need for us to buy Chinese crap made in China? Why? Who says? Well, some of these people are getting paid by lobbyists for China, obviously, or companies that manufacture in China and then also have lobbyists. So it's not a fair deal for the USA. It's not a fair deal for American workers. Factories move overseas. And for decades that has happened. So the good news is President Trump has put in place tariffs, and he has been lenient. After all, the purpose is not to destroy other countries. But the bad news is we should have done this 30 years ago. And so the other issue I wanted to talk about, the rise of the Fourth Reich. Schnell, das Reich. It's really pathetic to see Europeans looking for relevance in this world. They don't have colonies anymore. They don't have oil and gas. Their economies are stagnant. Even combining them into an EU that has a GDP similar to ours, for example, it is built on massive red tape, and they still need to buy oil and gas from us or the Russians. And it's so pathetic how they still act like they run the world. So you do have a variant of fascism now in Europe, anti-free speech, collectivism, and we're talking about pan-European supremacy that they're now pushing. So nationalism is out. Okay, so they're destroying the sovereignty of each of these member countries. And when some of them speak up, they get punished, like Hungary, for example, or Romania. They're canceling elections. They're using lawfare on prominent candidates that are for patriotism, for national sovereignty of each country, and they get thrown in jail or whatnot, banned from running. And the so-called conservatives in Europe are also globalists. So it doesn't even matter if the left or right wins. They're all globalists, and they believe in the same. But the economic power is really dependent on these people having cheap energy. and they don't have that. So they're eyeballing to have Ukraine as a colony, and then in the future, even Russia. Then they never have to worry about oil and gas again, and they would have living space, or Lebensraum, as they say in German. And we've heard that before. It's the same story. It's the same monster, different costume, and the difference is only psychological. We have a pan-European fascist power, an entity, that now wants to rearm, have their own army. They're bad-mouthing the USA. They're bad-mouthing Russia. They hate President Trump. And they think they're all that, which is the main problem, right? Because sometimes, if you're not all that, maybe you should shut the hell up and pay attention. And all of these Euros should be in Washington, D.C. right now, in the Oval Office, one by one, bending their knee or begging President Trump for mercy and leniency. Because, again, should President Trump do something about it, about the growing fascism? The Vice President, J.D. Vance, mentioned how the UK and the EU are drifting away from democracy and democratic values like freedom of speech. They are imprisoning their own people for speaking out, for saying something against migration or complaining about a school. And you saw that during the Biden regime years, where they went after parents that were complaining about their kids being taught LGBTQ things when they're like 6 years old. And then the FBI starts spying on them or arresting them or going after pro-lifers, going after Catholics, and of course political opponents, jailing 2,000 Americans. You see the same MO, but luckily the American people said, no, that's enough. Fascism is not made for the USA. Communism is not made for the USA. We're going to be the USA. And so they overwhelmingly voted for President Trump and his America First policies. And tariffs are a cornerstone of putting America first, because it's really about putting the American people first, but also American companies. No longer do they have to go build a factory in Bangladesh or China. They can build factories in one of our beautiful states, right? And manufacture and sell even in the world, because these countries will be forced to lower their tariffs so American companies can sell more, and foreign companies can build factories in our country, give Americans jobs and invest a lot of money, and they can sell as much as they want in the USA with no tariffs at all. I mean, it's a win-win for everyone. But yet you have these stooges and these globalist shills out there. Again, the same talking points coming from Ron Paul, his very weird son Rand Paul, Pelosi, Schumer, people at MSNBC, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and of course Judas Pence. And they're all like, I'm very conservative, I'm against tariffs. No, it means you're a far left-wing globalist shill. Yeah, Mike Pence is not a conservative, he's not a Republican, he's a globalist shill, which means he puts America last. And you remember that interview with Tucker? He was like, it's not my concern, like the American people, what they're feeling, if they're hurting, losing jobs and whatnot. It's not my concern. You see, that's the left-wing attitude. And sure, many people on the far left are actually social conservatives. So they're pro-life, or maybe they're Christian, whatever. But that doesn't mean that they're America Firsters. In many cases, you see these social conservatives are conservative on a couple of issues, but then for the rest, they're left-wing idiots. And it's sad to see so many rhinos and libertarians and Democrats pushing out a lie, lying to the American people, as they have been lying for decades now. They're still doing it, even though tariffs are now in place. So they're wasting time because, of course, they're fear-mongering, but it's really a way to get foreign countries to cause a ruckus, and hopefully then a recession starts. That's what they're hoping for, because many of these anti-tariff talking points are also fueled by an anti-Trump sentiment, Trump derangement syndrome. That's why you have a hater like Judah Spence coming out from under the woodwork, right? There he is, Judah Spence, right? It's so pathetic. These people are so pathetic. And so, whether it's about security in Europe, where they're going to drag us into another war, the rise of fascism in the EU and the UK, and tariffs, and how they've been ripping us off, and we're not even allowed to raise tariffs a little bit, and these people start hating on their own country. Like, these people that are against tariffs are not for America. They seem to be working for foreign nations. It's very suspicious, and it's very creepy. But all of that has in common that they want foreign countries to keep on treating us like we're the ATM for the world, we're the social worker for the world, we're the army for the world, and they're taking advantage of us, raping us, and we're supposed to go like some battered wife syndrome, right? Oh, yeah, it's my fault. Okay, we'll lower our tariffs even more. Is there anything else you need, Mr. EU, Mr. UK? It's like, go to hell. Who do these people think they are? We are the USA, right? They should be begging us for leniency. And President Trump has been very lenient with the tariffs so far. But now it's a good mix. You know, the tariffs are not that crazy. So you're going to have a mix of investments in the USA. Because, of course, if they build in the USA, there's no tariffs, so no extra money coming in except investments and jobs. But you also have companies that will not build in the USA and they will pay the tariffs, so that's money coming in. So it's like a perfect mix. You know, you got money, you got jobs, you got investments. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's a win-win, win-win, win for everyone. And those people are still whining and lying. I mean, what are they doing, right? And the same goes for NATO and Russia and all of that. Russia is not communist anymore. The Soviet Union died. Because if you look at all these people that are against tariffs and for globalist trade, and those people that are hating on Russia, you know, I often catch them saying, the Soviets or the commies. What are they talking about? It's 30 years ago that the Soviet Union died, right? But they're so old. It seems like they're still living in the 1970s. And the same goes for the tariffs. In a way, NATO, the tariffs, and the trade imbalances, it's all a result of World War II, where we coddled Germany, Japan, and many other countries. We subsidized them, we gave them money, we lowered our tariffs to almost zero, and then they still complain and badmouth the USA. And if we do anything to protect our manufacturing, suddenly we're the boogeyman. These are not friends. These are not allies. These are leeches. And now, as you can see, fascist leeches. And if they pick a war, once again with Russia, like a world war, we're going to have to go defend them and fight the war for them. I mean, that's insane. So once again, should President Trump do anything about how the Europeans are moving towards totalitarianism, far left-wing fascism, or just watch? I don't know. But at least with the tariffs and the trade imbalances, something has been done. And I hope that these people start to learn that, you know, we are going to look out for number one, America first, forever.